Of course, there are many different types of forests. For one thing, there are the great tropical rainforests, like this one in Peru. They stretch like a giant belt around the globe close to the equator. There are millions of square miles of forests like this. In addition, there are the temperate rainforests of the world, like this one here in British Columbia. Just as in their tropical counterparts, huge volumes of water wash down from the sky in these forests. However, the weather here ranges from cool to downright cold, so they are definitely not tropical. There are also montane forests. They grow at high altitudes on steep mountain slopes. In other mountainous regions, there are cloud forests. They occur in certain tropical areas where mountains rise up sharply from the ocean. And although the total amount of rainfall is not all that great, the vegetation is almost always dripping with moisture. That's because it is continuously bathed by the clouds rolling up from the sea. There are hardwood forests that are found at middle latitudes, like this one here in central Pennsylvania. For the most part, they are made up of deciduous trees that lose their leaves in the winter. And for many people, these are their favorites because these are the trees that blush with spectacular colors at summer's end. There is the Great Northern Taiga, where I am right now. It extends in a huge belt, spreading eastward from Scandinavia, across Siberia, and across much of Canada. These forests consist almost entirely of these cold-adapted coniferous trees. This type of forest covers so much land area, hundreds upon hundreds of square miles, that it can be considered the single most successful ecosystem on our planet. Here is another example. This forest has been flooded, but this is not a particularly unusual event. In fact, it floods like this every year. In eastern North America, this is referred to as a flooded woodland, and it represents a larger theme that is carried out in many, many places. The epitome of this is in the Amazonian rainforest in South America. There, water rises as much as 50 feet during the rainy season, leaving some trees completely submerged for months at a time. It is really an amazing experience to paddle along in a dugout canoe and to look down at treetops. Only the very tallest of the trees can still hold their crowns above the water. But these are just a few examples. In reality, one can rejoice in the fact that there are as many different types and subtypes of forests as there are locations on the earth. In each place that a forest grows, the specific circumstances of that area, its particular climate, soil type, etc., result in an ecosystem that is uniquely suited to that location. That is one of the things I love most about forests. Their ecosystems are almost infinitely variable, reflecting an uncountable number of unique adaptations. One could spend a lifetime studying biology out here and still be thrilled with new discoveries every day. And here is just one of those discoveries. The human demand for wood has been so great that nearly every forest in most places, or at least nearly every forest in North America, is a secondary forest, one that grew up after the initial great logging boom that occurred a century ago. All of this is what has grown up in its place since the logging was stopped and the area was placed under protection. It is still wonderful, a marvelous forest in every way. But the fact that it is a secondary forest means that, as forests go, it's relatively young. This tree here is 50 years old. That's how long ago all the trees in the area were last cleared away. But there are still places where the logger's axe never fell, and a huge saw is never cut. These stands of trees give us glimpses of primary forests. They exist very much as they were even before Columbus and the other Europeans arrived on the continent. This great white pine is 250 years old and stands at a towering height of over 150 feet tall.